Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. It is your girl, Miss Honey, here with a super quick review for Real Housewives of Potomac. This is season 5, episode 14. Hats off and shades on. We are slowly winding down on this season, and I am ecstatic about that. Let's go ahead and start with Ashley. Ashley goes to see a therapist. It's the same therapist that she and Michael both saw a couple of episodes earlier. And basically, she's having some postpartum issues. The doctor asks her a series of questions, and she answers them from an extreme to mid-range, which just lets us know that she is really struggling with all of these postpartum feelings and issues. One of the things that she's struggling with is feeling sexy and sexual as it pertains to Michael. She really feels like some of the things that I guess he's engaging in with her, or I don't know. You know, when he touches her, she feels like it's for Dean now and it's not for him. I don't really know how one reconciles that in their own mind. Of course, you guys know I don't have children. I could see her point if I don't know. It's a predicament. It's a predicament, and one that I think a lot of women find themselves in. So one of the things that she brought up, Ashley, was that she hadn't been on a vacation. The last time they had something planned, she found out she was pregnant with Dean. And so now she thinks it would be a good opportunity, now that Dean is a little bit older, that she can go away for 4 or 5 days and, you know, maybe just get away and recharge and renew and all of that. And the doctor agrees. So then we get to see Candiace. Candiace is doing singing lessons with her good friend. I think his name is Clifton or Cliff or something like that. And she, gets an opportunity to produce this song or write this song, I guess. I think it's the song that she did for her husband, Chris, at their wedding. And the song has sort of been reworked, and she's going to release it now as a single. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's the song. Well, he's helping her do some vocal runs and that type of thing. Then we get to see her with her husband, Chris, and she's kind of going off because last episode, I believe it was, or it might have been 2 episodes ago, we saw where Candiace went down to the police station, I guess, to file charges on Monique. And in kind, Monique has now filed charges on her. And they're both sort of going through a legal tussle. The physical tussle, Monique won. And now the legal tussle is on. And from what I understand, it is a complete wash. No charges were filed. And I think everything was dropped eventually. But I could be wrong about that too. But she's pretty upset about it. You know, it's the B word this, it's the B word that, it's the hood trash, it's your hood trash friends. It's just all of these things that added to the agitation that caused her to get mollywopped over at Giselle's wig snatching barn party. But hey, listen. You know, this is what it is when you get into it with somebody one way or another. It just drags on. So anyway, then we get to see her at Chucky Thompson's, who's a producer. I looked him up, and he produced One Mic from Nas, which is one of my favorite songs. All I need is one mic. Okay, he did some Faith Evans songs, Mary J. Blige. I think he was signed to Bad Boy. He was one of Bad Boy's producers, that type of thing. Well, he's the one that reworked her song. He plays a little bit of the song. It sounds pretty good. Again, it had been reworked, and he offers to sign her to his label. I don't know what his label is, but he offers to sign her to his label, and she's so excited about that. And she talks about how when she was in high school, she was in a girls group and they offered to sign them, and then her parents had someone look over the contract. It wasn't a good contract, so she had to bail out of the deal. But now, it feels like someone is really listening to her. Now, if you go over to Candiace's page, her actual website, I can't think of the address for it, but she does a lot of different things. Like, she's a pageant consultant. She has Prima hair. She's singing. She looks like she's trying to do some talk show type stuff, some modeling. So yeah, she's a jack of all trades. Which one she's mastered yet, we're not sure. But that's pretty much Candiace. Let's talk about Giselle. Well, Giselle got together with Ashley, and they sort of talked about everything that was going on with Ashley. And Ashley did ask her if she had similar issues with Jamal in terms of making him feel supported and loved and all of that, and not forgotten about because of the children. And Giselle just sort of gives her a lukewarm answer about, I don't know, it was some general answer. And then Ashley mentions that she wants to take a trip. She doesn't mention where the trip is, but she's thinking instead of going with Michael, she would go with the ladies. And of course, Giselle wants to know if that's going to include Monique. And at first, Ashley said, that Monique is her friend. And Giselle just vehemently was opposed to Monique coming. And what about Candiace? And I don't think I will feel comfortable with her. She's still continuing on with this farce that she is somehow afraid of Monique, which, if Monique was going to jump on Giselle, she'd have did it long before Candiace got there. I mean, Giselle has pulled some stunts. Giselle has come out of her face crazy. So if Monique was that type of ticking time bomb, she would have been jumped on Giselle. Trust me. I mean, yeah. So, but, Ashley's got to, move with the majority, and it's a part of her job to do so. So, that it is what it is. I just think that Giselle protests too much, right? Still, we are 14 episodes into Real Housewives of Potomac season 5, and still no one's brought up Everhue Beauty. No one's brought up the failing business or the failing website. No one's brought that up at all. We've touched on and kind of skirted around the whole Jamal situation, but no one's asked her about Everhue Beauty at all. Even when she puts together sort of this little tea with Robyn and Karen under the guise that she is there and she's concerned about Karen. She doesn't have it at her house. She doesn't have the tea at the house and have the girls there where she can, they can sit down and be comfy and talk and just have good heart-to-heart talk as friends. No, she invites her out to tea. And she shows up in soccer shoes. She says she forgot her shoes. And anyway, before they get to talking good, now she sits down with Robyn first. Karen comes in last, and they sort of go over what it is she wants to say to Karen. Robyn hears the conversation first, so to speak. And then when Karen gets there and Karen, says her hellos to everyone. And then first thing she does is congratulates Robyn on what she's got going on with her own business, this hat business, right? Which is really kind of like accessories and stuff like that. T-shirts, hats, that type of thing. And Giselle calls it, what is it called? Embezzled. mudslinging, and this your good girlfriend. This is one of your hyenas, you know what I'm saying? That bites for you when you're not there to bite, you know what I'm saying? And she bites alongside of you, okay? This is your ace boon coon dragon, and you say embezzled, right? And it's supposed to be this joke, but it's dismissive. It's dismissive. But Robyn doesn't seem to mind. She sort of seems to take it on the chin. The only way I would enjoy Robyn staying around is if she turns on Giselle. I would love to see that. I'd love to hear all the ugly truth come out about that. That would be something that would be interesting to me and worth Robyn staying around. Otherwise, boo to Robyn. So yeah, just Giselle just is continually mudslinging, and everyone just seems to go along with it. She seems to be in charge of the girls, in charge of production, in charge of Andy, in charge of Bravo. I'm just amazed at that whole dynamic. Then we get to see Wendy. And Wendy is getting her boys ready. I guess she's getting them ready for school, or I don't know. It might be the evening before they, that later that evening after they've come from school. And that scene just kind of went on too long. Her sons have a mantra. I think they were going to school. They've got picture day. And she had them do poses for picture day. They have a daily mantra that they give before they leave the house. It's all for us, you guys. It's all for us. The whole too long scene was for the cameras. I mean, her boys are cute. Her daughter is adorable. Wendy's a beautiful woman. But I am telling you, she is the answer to the question that no one is asking. You know what I mean? Like, I don't find anything interesting and textured about her. I'm now really finding Wendy to be more droll. I just don't find her someone that I would want to hang around and just talk casually with. She seems like the kind of individual that would always be dropping her accolades and dropping what I would do and what I do and see what I do. And this is what I do and this is how I do it. She doesn't really seem like the kind of person that can come alongside someone and be a genuine friend without throwing all of her accolades into it. And it doesn't matter what the accolade is. It could be her 4 degrees, her PhD, or it could be, how she's raising her children and how, just all of this other stuff. She's just a bit too much for me. So we do get to see that from her. And of course, she has an issue with the fact that Karen called her ignorant in last week's episode. And we're going to get into that once we get to Robyn's function. Robyn is having a photography session for all the girls and one model, basically to get some new faces on her website. And she's invited everyone but Monique, of course. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But in her opening scenes, she talks about how she just doesn't understand how impressive. She's so impressive that how Karen could call her ignorant. So here's the thing. Ignorance just means that you don't know. That's what ignorance means. It doesn't have anything to do with your educational background. There are a lot of people who are educationally sound, but they are still ignorant. Or they don't have common sense. The old folks say all sense ain't common, right? All common sense ain't common, right? So then we fast forward to let's talk about Monique. Monique is, filing and suing Candiace in return. She talks about how she needs to protect herself as a mom and as a wife and fight so that she doesn't come out of this thing looking crazy, especially in the legal system. I agree with her completely. the fight doesn't just end when you take your hands off someone. I mean, you have to follow through. She has to protect her brand. She can't just lay down and die. If she made this mistake, now she's got to circle the wagons and she's got to rally herself. That's just what it is. Candiace had the right to file. Monique have a right to fight it. And that's just what it is. We get to see Monique doing what Monique does best. She's promoting her brand. She's always with her kids. She's out with her family promoting her brand. She has the kids helping her pass out the flyers. We get to see her get up for the day, get her kids up, get her kids out, get her husband rallied, get the day started for the family, prepare their meals, comb their hair. I enjoy the interaction with Monique and her family. I would not mind seeing Monique on a show by herself. I wouldn't mind seeing her in a buddy show, something like with her and Portia and Tanya. People who just love to have a good time and love to laugh out loud, physically fit, able to, participate, open to participate into different things. I would love to see that, especially from brown girls. I would love to see that. So y'all know I'm Team Monique. I love Monique. You know what I'm saying? I ride for Monique Samuels. Okay, so let's see. We talked about everybody. Karen, when she goes to meet with Giselle and Robyn at the in the tea room, Giselle basically wanted to meet with her because under the guise of she's going to look out for Karen. Karen is my friend and I want to make sure she's okay, because if it's true what Wendy is saying about her, then she must really be going through something and we really, really want to support her. Remember now, she's already done the disclaimer with Robyn and got Robyn prepped for the conversation, which Robyn is just the head nodder. She's going to go along with it, right? And she does. And so when Karen gets there, like I said, she is very ingratiating to Robyn and supportive of her business. And she also brings up the taxes. She does it tactfully, and she does serve a little bit of crow to Robyn with her crumpets, because Robyn gave her what for a couple of 2-3 seasons ago when Karen and Ray had their tax issue. And so now Giselle is trying to act like it's a touchy subject, but she's going to bring it up that Wendy told her after she told Wendy that she wasn't going to tell Karen what she said, but she does. Everybody knows the game. And so she brings it up, acts like it's a touchy subject. She says that Wendy's told that she helped Ray out with the tax situation by putting some of her money into the kitty and that she wanted the money back. Karen does own the conversation about, or the fact that she did have to chip in and help with Ray. And again, I said it before, that's your marriage. You guys are in that together. If you had child support, he would have to help pay it, vice versa. When you're in a union, you share all of those ups and all of those downs, whether they be financial or health-wise or otherwise. But she owns up to it. What she doesn't own up to, and she probably doesn't remember, because Karen was litty that night. Litty. And she probably doesn't remember the fact that she said she wanted her money back. And I think also she was saying it in jest. She, was kind of like making light of the situation. And, she says she doesn't quite remember that, but she feels like Wendy's putting on to that. And she sort of distracts or I guess throws them off the conversation going any deeper, because Karen does mention that she called Wendy ignorant. And so, of course, Giselle and Robyn were like, oh, is that fresh meat? Oh, piping hot tea. And Karen feeds right into it, honey. She wasn't so much being led by Giselle and Monique as Giselle and Robyn. She was really sort of just taking the conversation back and making it all about Wendy. And so she does this imitation of Wendy's walk, which was hilarious. And so fast forward, we get to the embellishment photo shoot, and Giselle comes in and everybody's wearing a hat. If they're not wearing a hat, they're given a hat when they get there. The model that's there does look a lot like Katie Ross. We miss Katie because Katie was a good, fun addition to Real Housewives of Potomac. She does look a lot like her, and they mentioned it a couple times. It's funny, yada yada yada. Candiace comes in, and Candiace and Karen were cordial in this moment. She seems like she took what Karen told her last week, which was sound adult grown woman advice, which is, I supported you. You need to let me support Monique. It's the same thing, and nobody's going to tell me how to feel and how to weigh in on the situation. So she seemed like she took it to heart. Candiace did. We get to see where, like I said, they all do their photo shoot. Wendy comes in. Now, Wendy talks to Giselle while the ladies are, as they're all moving in and out of their photos. Wendy and Giselle get a chance to chit chat and talk. And so, of course, Giselle can't wait to tell Wendy about Karen imitating her and saying that she was ignorant, telling them that she called Wendy ignorant. She couldn't wait. And then Wendy started going in about the fact that Karen had mentioned that Wendy's not a medical doctor, and she feels that what Monique is going through is medical. And Wendy says, no, I'm not a medical doctor. She's got her doctorate, I guess, in business or something like that. And so Wendy goes on and on about the subject matter, and she decides that she's going to talk with Karen about it. So when the ladies all come together, and Ashley, after they have their photo shoot, and Ashley lets them know that they're going to be going to Portugal. And it was a good moment. Everybody was excited. We know that Monique is not going. And from those the previews for next week, it looks like Ashley's going to wish she had invited Monique, because she's going to be in shark infested waters, and she's not really going to have an ally there necessarily. That's what it looked like to me. Well, when Wendy goes on and talks to Giselle about it, Giselle was kind of seconding her emotions towards Karen. Now, she didn't do that when Karen was talking about Wendy. When Karen was talking about Wendy, she was just acting like she was shocked and appalled. It's kind of like egging Karen on in a way. When she's talking to Wendy, she's kind of, on her face and her gestures siding with what Wendy is saying about Karen. And so when they all sit down together, and now they're going to sort of break bread together and talk together, just chit-chatting, and Wendy was like, I've got something to say. And that's when she confronts Karen about what she said. Of course, she's like, I don't like to bring up my degrees, although everybody knows Wendy has 4 degrees and that she's a doctor and all of that. And it's everybody looks like, girl, yeah, right. You don't like to bring up all your degrees. Oh, okay. And then she does what she's known for doing now, which is, instead of improving her argument, she raises her voice, which I just find that much more laughable, because you're supposed to be so well educated, and it is very difficult for you to sit down and have a normal volume when you're talking to someone in a disagreement format. It is extremely difficult for her to do that. And I think it's weird, because she's an analyst on a supposed to be well-known news channel, CNN or MSNBC. She's an analyst. So how you're supposed to take that emotion out of a situation and just converse. But instead, you have to take your volume up, and your energy is aggressive. And Karen defended herself beautifully, because Wendy, was like, you better GD recognize that I have 4 degrees, and the last thing I am is ignorant. Again, ignorant means you just don't know. It has nothing to do with you education wise. You can be the biggest brainiac in the world, but I promise you there is some subject matter that you are ignorant about. You don't know about it. Okay. And what Karen was saying is, before you stick your nose in, you need to know the full scope of the situation. You don't just come in on the tail end of a conversation and throw your weight around in that conversation. I also think it's a little weird that Wendy keeps bringing up her 4 degrees, but she does not see the irony in the fact that when they were at Giselle's wig snatching barn party, where Monique was forced to mollywop Candiace, that while Candiace was egging Monique on and tormenting her and verbally assaulting her, she had to take a butter knife, a cheese knife, out of Candiace's hand, not once, but twice that we saw. She had to physically remove it from her hand because she was talking at Monique with that knife. But you glaze over all of this to chastise Karen about the fact that she has taken a stance with 2 people that she's known longer than she's known you. Personally, anyway. It's ridiculous. It's redundant. And I just don't get why Wendy can't shut up and play her first year role by just watching and being strategic. Because that really would show us your education, Wendy. That would show us your education. Why can't you see all sides of it and find a way to weigh in that way? Why have you decided that Monique, who is a person you have the most in common with, Monique is a college graduate, okay? And she has 3 children, okay? And she has a husband. Okay, and she's managing her life and a business and her family's life and her family's business. The woman that you have the most in common with, you refuse to see common ground with. To me, that says more about your education than Karen ever could, in my opinion. She attacks the fact that Karen doesn't have a degree. She overtalks Karen. Karen does say, let me let you finish. Let me let you finish. She tried to interject a couple of times and she can't. Finally, someone told her to let Karen talk. Now, mind you, Giselle, who has kind of set all of these things in motion, and Karen calls it out. Karen says in her confessional that she feels like Giselle is behind this, and the truly most unhappy one in that whole group is Giselle, and I agree with that. Giselle and Robyn just sit there like they did with Candiace and Monique and watch it all go down. They watch Wendy get aggressive. They watch Wendy sort of incite Karen by telling her she doesn't have degrees and cursing and all of this stuff. And they don't say, hey, calm that down. No, don't say that. No, that's not right. That's not fair. They don't say anything. They just watch it all go down because you started it. You started the fire and you just blew a little bit air on it. And when it caught hold, you stepped back off of it and put your hands up like you were warming them against the fire, darling. It's vicious. It's just vicious. It's just vicious. Like I said, none of these ladies are going to get 100% accolade from me, including Monique, until we start ragtagging Giselle and Robyn every chance we get. I'm not gonna go 100 on none of these girls if y'all gonna cower away from ragtagging Ever Hugh Beauty, this Jamal Bryant, Giselle Bryant farce. Until then, none of y'all are gonna get a complete thumbs up from me. Y'all look like y'all scared. If you scared, say you scared. You know what I mean? If you scared, say you scared. Outside of Monique, I mean, Karen does come for Giselle. Typically, she comes for her in the confessional, which we deal with confessional conversation at the reunion. We don't deal with confessional conversation during the episodes. So it don't count. And Monique will come for Giselle, but Giselle's got to push her. Up until that point, Monique really tries to play it cool with Giselle because it's apparent that Giselle is a Bravo favorite. Andy favorite. So Yeah. And so Karen, which I mentioned last week, she is the master of the spin. She took power in that conversation. She read Wendy for filth and told her, I may not have degrees, but I have been successful and I've built a successful business. And she said, the where the grace lies is in common sense. Basically what I just said, all common sense ain't common, is what her mama told her. And she tells him, yes, she did imitate her, and then she got up and did it. She said, you slithered in, and she did the walk. And the minute she started doing the walk, the whole group just started laughing. Then they started walking behind Karen, mimicking Wendy's walk, and it just diffused the whole situation. Like, it just took the sting out of what Wendy was trying to do. And definitely it took the sting out of the puppeteer, which is the power away from the puppeteer, which is Giselle in this case. Okay, you guys, that is really the whole episode. Next week, the ladies leave for Portugal. Of course, the drama starts immediately. You guys tell me what you think of this episode. And until next time, honeybees, mwah, 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 mwah. I'll holla.